you can tell me if this observation is overblown or not, but it's just something I've noticed kind of in the left crowd. And it seemed to come up more and more after Bernie's loss, but like, it seems like there's a certain, and I'm not trying to like name names or start drama, but it seems like there's like a segment of the online left that like goes out of its way to be contrarian. And my pet theory is just that like a lot of these folks, especially if you're online, spend all your time just arguing with like, I guess, mainstream news outlets. And so they think like, if something picks up steam in like a CNN or whatever, well, then I'm just going to take the opposite position just because I know they're always wrong.
So what are you saying, that you think some people online are knee jerk?
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, yeah, I guess it's not, it's not really much of an observation. I was just trying to like,
I mean, I think like, look, I think there's a lot of people in this space for whom, like, and I have to say, like, I didn't have to go through a lot of this because I was very fortunate in that coming from radio, one, I stumbled into radio, was basically just brought in by Janine Garofalo, had really no qualifications that would have allowed me to be there whatsoever. And I was very lucky. The only qualification I had was that she trusted me and knew that there was stuff that I could do that she wanted. And then I was able to basically, had an email list and was able to launch this show and got lucky, entered in at a time where there was not that much competition. We have a ceiling on this show. I mean, and we grow, but we don't grow in leaps and bounds from year to year. And so I'm particularly lucky. There's a lot of people I think who came in over the past couple of years, and I think it's, they feel the heat of competition more and will sometimes try and position themselves in such a way that they will get more attention. There was a book written by, I think he like wrote the whole book, or if he edited it, I think he wrote it, by Mark Crispin Miller, who, I have some issues with some of the stuff that he's done as of late, but wrote a really interesting book called Boxed In about the culture of TV, where I remember one of the big takeaways was this idea that when you're watching TV, the practice of it in and of itself makes you feel like the person on TV is important. I can't remember the dynamic, but I think that there's like, I think there's just a danger. It's one of those things like, everything comes with its own drawbacks with like our YouTube culture that promotes that type of thing. I don't think it's, and maybe people who are contrarian, enter into it, but you look at someone like Jimmy Dore, and I mean, I know he's stupid, but, and frankly, Tim Pool, for that matter, also stupid. I know for a fact that Tim Pool has told people like, the reason why he does the type of show he does is he doesn't have to read anything really. And it's super easy. I think there are just some people out there who are just like, I'm willing to make money at whatever expense I externalize to society. And you're not going to do that you need to differentiate yourself from other media outlets. Mm-hmm. And the way that is take a contrarian position.
And another thing to know right now is that for the first time since basically Trump announced, it's a drought for attention. Like subs aren't going up as high, patrons not going up as high. People are struggling and a lot of people haven't experienced that before and are wondering, I want to keep that growth rate up. How am I going to keep that growth rate that was so nice for the last 4 years? And people are panicking and doing crazy shit.
And you see, like, I mean, listen, I saw this in show business too. Like, I'm not going to say who it was, but there was one person I knew who she was a client of my manager, and I put her in a bit, like a live bit, you know, because I was doing stuff just like quick live bits, and I needed somebody to do it, and she couldn't act at all. Like, it had to do nothing. And I told my manager, I was like, dude, I'm telling you right now, you better just take a 7-minute reel. Don't let her audition for stuff, because, and she did quite well. She was a character. And she did quite well. And then she got a show and it failed and this and that. And then she got put onto another show that was very popular at the time. And she went up on day 1 to the Star. The show had been on for 10 years or something like that. And started giving the Star line reads. And immediately got fired. like that was the last of it. But there was like this thing, and I'm sure it happened from everywhere, but I knew people from Boston who, like, they lost all perspective. Like the desire to be a celebrity and this and that. I mean, they just lost all perspective of where they were and what their status was and what was going to happen with them. And then they freak out when anything doesn't go the way they thought it should, or they lose their minds in some weird way. And I saw that in show business, and I think that, like, that, you know, I would assume that because people are in a political space that they don't feel like they're in show business, or that these same things don't apply, and it's just not true.
Nope.
You see people who are like, I was getting, 200 subscribers a day to, followers on Twitter, and now I'm getting 5 a day. I'm being, what's the plot here? And it's just like, we've had a year or two where we were getting like 30,000 subscribers a month. And then we've had months where we're like getting 1,000 subscribers a month. Like, there's no way to really sort of like,
Well, you can kind of predict it's going to follow the election cycle.
It follows the election cycle, and then there are other things that you just can't predict. And it's just like, it is what it is. There's no, like, nefarious, you're not the center of the effing universe. No. It's just insanity. And that's what happens with a lot of people. So the bottom line is, dude, like, I don't know. It's not just contrarian for contrarian's sake. There's a lot of, I think, psychological stuff working with a lot of these people, to be honest with you.
Yeah, and that was a good point about the, like, worrying about the subscriber numbers. I guess I hadn't thought about, like, people following those metrics as closely as they do, which you would if that's your livelihood.
Yeah, it's true. I appreciate the call.
And I'm not trying to, like, name names or start drama, but it seems like there's, like, a segment of the online left that, like, goes out of its way to.
What's the thing?